Today we have Jersey's own former light heavyweight and cruiserweight champion of the world, arguably one of the best light heavyweight and cruiserweights in history, and also a genius, a MENSA off the charts genius. Bobby Czyz will be joining us. I love Jersey. I love Bobby. Let's get into this.
So, Mr. Czyz, former light heavyweight and cruiserweight champion.
Cruiserweight.
Light heavyweight, cruiserweight, and super cruiserweight.
There we go.
What weight is super cruiser?
Super cruiser was, well, you had, the cruiser was 190 was the limit.
Yeah.
They had over 190 to like 206.
Okay.
Really, they should have done that when I was fighting. I was just
You had a couple more titles.
We had a comment. We had one of your opponents on our podcast a couple weeks ago or a month ago, Donnie Lalonde, who you picked up your cruiserweight title defeating.
Well, he tried to get my title, but no, I beat him up pretty good.
You did, man. You did, and I feel like he never got the props he deserved because he wasn't a bum. He was a good fighter.
He wasn't a bum. Nice. Here's the thing. Unfortunately, people see boxing as somewhat of a one-dimensional thing. It really isn't. See, good is your ability to give an ass whooping. Tough is your ability to take an ass whooping. Donnie was not too bad at giving one, but he couldn't take one to save his life. He was not tough.
He couldn't stand the heat, huh? He couldn't take the heat?
Not the heat, couldn't take the punches.
What's funny? So me and Jeremy met at Kevin Rooney. We were in Kevin Rooney's camp, and I was watching you fight. And how tall are you, Bobby?
5'10".
5'10". So I'm watching you fight, and you had a similar kind of style where I remember thinking to myself, maybe you would have benefited from that kind of style. But then I'm watching you more and more, and I'm realizing, I don't think it would have benefited you because you had your own style and you were very good and very smart at seeing openings and making punches land.
Well, it's interesting that you observe that because I'll tell you what happened to me when I fought for the cruiserweight title. I fought a guy named Robert Daniels who was 2 inches shorter than me. I misjudged his strength watching all those videos for hours and hours and hours and hours. I misjudged his strength, physical strength, and also the power. So I walk out there with a certain strategy that I've trained for 17 weeks for, and now all of a sudden I come back after the first round and say, Tommy, this ain't going to work. I had to change. Now here's what I had to do. A lot of people don't know this because it never really creeped into my professional career because I was always big, thick legs. I was a little short for my weight. But when I was a youngster, 103, 115, 125, 147, I used to box like Ali. I used to box from the outside, jabbing, stepping around, moving, jabbing. And I realized that when I fought Daniels, this ain't going to work. This ain't going to work. I got to change. So I made the changes in the corner. I told Tommy, now here's what happens when you make changes that you're not prepared for. After the 9th round of the fight, I came back to the corner and my feet were bleeding through my shoes.
Ooh.
And Tommy Park said, what the hell's going on? I said, I think the skin rubbed off my feet. I'm in pain. I can't walk without pain. He said, what do you want to do? I said, I got no choice. I promised my wife, was my fiance at the time. So I promised Kimberly, she was marrying the cruiserweight champ in October. So this is what's going to happen. So anyway, long and short of it, I went out there. The 10th round was my best round, and I won the title.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that you began as a middleweight, correct?
Correct.
And wow. I assume, this is my assumption, is the reason why you probably suffered your first loss was it was probably impossible for you to make that weight. You drained yourself. That'd be my guess.
That was one of the reasons. That it was a culmination of things. But when I came out of the amateurs, I was fighting at 165, which was super middleweight in the pros. Mm-hmm. So for the first couple of years of my career, I was sucking off that extra 5 pounds, and eventually it started to make me weaker and weaker. when I fought Hamsho, I even asked Lou Duva for, he gave me a water pill. Well, that was a really dumb thing to do.
Oh.
But on top of that, in the second round, I broke my hand when I hit him in the forehead. It broke, the first two metacarpals broke through the top of my hand.
Ooh.
So now I'm in a little bit of a jam, but I also got a little weak. I wasn't strong. I just didn't have a good day. At the same time, having said that, I think Mustafa Hamsho was too experienced for me and too strong at 160. If I had fought him at 175, he'd never finished the fight.
See what I told you, Marco? That's exactly what I told Marco. Question: your first professional fight, Hank Whitmore. How would you feel?
How would I say again?
How'd you feel? It was your first professional fight.
Well, you know, you have a certain amount of nervous anxiety. Plus, the entire ice world was a big arena for locals. It held over 3,500 people. My whole high school was there, and they were all screaming Bobby, Bobby. So there was a lot of pressure to at least look good, and knocking them out in the first round wasn't bad.
So you're a Jersey guy, born and raised?
Born and raised.
And what got you into boxing?
Yeah.
All right, this is a simple story, but it sounds a little more complicated than it is. When I was very young, I was 10 years old. I lived in East Orange from I was born till 10. Now, I lived in the hood, though. I mean, I lived in a really poor section. We were poor.
Me too.
And I went to school with black and Hispanic, so I was fighting every day because I was the minority. Everybody was picking on me. Yeah, well, roles were reversed.
Me too.
No big deal. I lived with it. But as I moved to Wanacue, my dad told me and my brothers, Vince and Tony, they were 9 and 7 at the time. You guys are going to go to Patterson 6 days a week to learn how to box. And I said, what if we don't want to? He said, you don't have a choice. I'll kick your ass.
I know the feeling.
And my father would have done that. So he took us down to Patterson, where we started to train every day, Monday through Saturday. We got Sundays off. We started running, doing training. So for 5 years, I was doing it. My brothers were doing it. And after 5 years, he gave us the option to quit. And unbeknownst to a lot of the world, I'm not religious. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in an afterlife. And when I was 15 years old, I was boxing with and beating up guys and handling guys that were rated in the top 50 in the world as pros. And I thought to myself, wait, if I could do this as a 15-year-old boy, what could I do as a man? So I asked my dad to let me stay with the boxing. And sometime thereafter, shortly thereafter, at the age of 18, I turned pro. And at the age of 24, I realized my dream. I was in the sports history books forever, for eternity, as a light heavyweight champion of the world. And that's what fueled my fire to fight.
Okay.
I wanted to be special. I wanted to leave behind a footprint on this planet.
Nothing wrong with that, brother. Nothing wrong with that.
And you did, man. You were, whenever boxing conversations come up about the greatest cruiserweight, for some reason people usually mention you as cruiserweight, one of the best cruiserweights, which you kind of didn't spend most of your career there, right? You kind of were.
No, so I only had a few fights as cruiserweight, and then I got an opportunity for super cruiserweight, which I jump started to a big payday. I was looking to get $1 million payday, which I never got. The biggest was Holyfield, was $350. So, but I think my best weight though naturally was 175. Really, yeah.
Wow.
Really? And
then we read about that that really fucked up the 1980 amateur team, but that you and Tony Tucker happened to miss that plane or that flight that ended up going down. I mean, what do you remember about that?
There were a few people who missed the plane. And I remember when I got in the car accident, December, just how well I remember it, December 27th, 1979, 2 days after Christmas.
Okay.
And I had a broken nose. I was bleeding, and I was pretty messed up. And my father came home from work the day I did it. And when I was sitting in a chair holding the ice, I was holding the ice with my right hand on my nose, and everything was broken and my face was cut up. He stepped around to this side and punched me in the face, knocked me off the chair and the garbage pail. So I got back up, and I figured I'll put the left hand up so he hits my elbow. So he stepped around, hit me with a left hook, knocked me over the table. I said, then I got up and went in the bathroom and shut the door. I said, I'm not getting killed.
Why?
But it was a mistake because I got in a car accident. And here's the thing, because it was the trip was special because my last name is obviously unusual. It's Polish. My grandfather was from Poland, Warsaw. So I had a lot of relatives in Warsaw, and I have 3 grandparents from Italy. So I'm 3/4 Italian, 1/4 Polish. Basically, I make myself an offer I can't even understand. But I had to throw that one in there for you. But no, he was so upset with me. And here's the funny thing. Come March the following year, when the plane went down, I got home from school. My father called the house. I'll never forget this. And my mother said, "It's your father. It's your father. It's for you." And I was like, "Oh, geez, he's probably going to rip me. I know the fights were supposed to start and everything." So I get on the phone. He said, "Son, you know that flight you were supposed to be on to Poland?" I said, "Yeah, Dad. What about it?" He said, "They're all dead.
Jesus.
Every single one of them, they're all dead." When I tell you it's a chill went up my spine, I froze. It was the strangest feeling I'd ever had in my life.
Wow.
To know that I was slated to be dead, and if not for the car accident, I would be gone.
Wow. And with the car accident, what was that like? Was it your fault, their fault, accident?
I just fell asleep, and it was late. I just fell asleep, drove off the road, didn't have a seatbelt on, hit my nose on the steering wheel, broke it, and cut my face up pretty bad.
Wow.
Better than cashing in your ticket, that's for sure.
And Jeremy, so who was the common opponent you guys both had? You guys had one common opponent, you and Jeremy.
George O'Mara.
Oh my God, George! All he could take a punch, boy.
That's what Jeremy
told
said.
you, Mark. I told you.
He could take a punch. I broke his nose twice in the same fight.
Man, I beat the brakes off the guy, and he gave me a hug after the fight. He goes,
Yeah, no, he was a good guy.
Great, yeah. Great,
but
dude,
he was tough as well. Again, I tell you, the ability, tough as your ability to take an ass whooping, good as your ability to give one. He was tough, all right. He could take it, but he couldn't give it out that much.
He couldn't. You couldn't pay him to be the man. That guy was, he was tough, man. And we actually brought him back for sparring partner. Just, he was a human punching bag.
You know what? Over the years, I did that with a lot of guys that I fought and beat. I brought them back as sparring partners.
Really? Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Wow. You know, you can never get too good a sparring partner. That's how you get ready for the fights.
Man, I had a sparring partner one time who looked like Evander Holyfield. His name was Everton Davis. You couldn't kick that.
Oh yeah, I know him.
Man, Everton Davis, big old Jamaican black. I mean, super great guy, but really nice guy. I brought him in for a lot of fights, but when I fought him, I was like, God damn! I felt like I was fighting Holyfield.
One of the guys I used to spar with used to give me fits because he was so quick. It was Maurice Harris, a guy you also fought, and that was one of the best left hooks I've ever seen.
Really?
I don't even know how he got up.
Yeah, me too.
He didn't beat the count though.
Man. Yeah.
So I was going over some of your fights, and one fight in particular, the Virgil Hill fight. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it was very close. I feel like you even could have won that fight. And don't forget that the knockdown was ruled a slip, which it clearly was not a slip. You dropped him clean. Even after
the fight, Virgil said, no, that was a clean knockdown. Because the announcer said, how did you feel about it? Was that a knockdown? He said, oh yeah, it was. Well, you know what? Virgil was real quick, and he was so quick, I couldn't really adjust to him. I got to him once. He never let me get to him again, and I tipped my hat to him. He deserved the decision, but it was a one-sided decision, and the fight was not that one-sided.
Oh, So, of all of your fights, what would you say was your most gratifying victory?
Well, I have to give that to the knockout over Slobodan Kachar. I was a slight underdog to win the title, and you'll get this in about a second. I used to laugh when I was a kid. I was a teenager, and girls would cry when they were happy. And when I knocked him out and I raised my hands, I just walked into the sports history books. I started to tear up for a minute, and I tried to wipe it away real quick because I don't want anybody to think I'm soft. But I realized the enormity of what I had just done when I set out to do at the age of 10. And I always told people it'll take me 14 years to win that title. 14 years later, almost to the month.
Wow.
Yeah, congratulations. Congratulations.
You know this, Jeremy. You know this as well as anybody. Nobody knows about when you got to get up and you got to run 5 miles with blistering, bleeding feet. Nobody knows your jaw dislocated. You got to spar the next day. Your nose broke. You still got to spar. Your eardrums are broke. I mean, it's every day. Your ribs is bruised. You gotta show up. So nobody sees those days. They just see the days, the glory days.
Yeah. So that's what I want to talk about. What was that thing behind the energy that drove you to be the best?
I wanted to be in the history books because I'm not religious. I wanted to leave a footprint. I wanted to leave something behind when I'm gone.
Wow.
And it drove me. Even my mother, there were days I would come home from the gym and I would fall asleep in my food and just be bleeding in through my nose on the table. And my mother would say, "Son, you don't have
to." We lost you for a second there. You went mute.
You said, "Son."
Just one of those things.
Oh, there we go. We just lost what you said. You went it went mute. What'd your mother say?
Oh yeah, somebody tried to call in. Okay. My mom used to say to me sometimes when I'd come home, I would fall asleep in my food, and I would be so exhausted, so tired, or I would have my nose would be bleeding, or my eardrums would be broken. She'd say, "Son, you don't have to do this." I said, "Ma, yes I do.
That's
I don't believe in God like you do. I have to leave behind a Bobby Czyz footprint."
Well, that's an interesting point, because you're part of, you have your MENSA, which is your IQ is 98th percentile and above. Why did you not go into something? Because you could have left a footprint a lot of different ways, right? And I'm not saying I'm glad you boxed, but what made you go this route as opposed to using your brain, which was obviously just as heavily armed as your fists?
I had 4 partial pre-med scholarships to go to medical schools around the country.
Okay.
But because I was as a young athlete, I was hurt so often, always going, when you always go the extra mile, you always get hurt. You always do. It just turns out that way. And I spent a lot of time in orthopedic surgeons and orthopedic doctors' offices, cracked this, broken that, dislocated this, whatever. And I got to enjoy the guys. And then I started to be able to diagnose myself by the time I was in my early 20s. Wow. Doctor said, "You don't need me." But it was just one of those things because I knew I couldn't do them both.
Is there
too much work on both sides?
Is there anybody else in your family who's got that high level of intelligence that you have?
I believe my dad did, but he was also a little bit of a sociopath. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that relates to me. But my brother Vince is a straight A student, graduated Rutgers 4.0, Columbia 4.0. I always tease him. I said, "You should take the test." He said, "I'm not as smart as you." He said, "I just have more book knowledge."
Wow.
But he's a very bright kid. Very bright kid.
Do you regret boxing in any way? Is there any part of you, or is there a big part of you that wishes you did something else, or are you completely happy with your decision?
No, I'm good. If I died tomorrow, I did what I came here to do. I only have one thing left in my life I need to do. Make sure my daughter grows up, has a nice life. She's engaged to get married now. Just got to make sure that the rest of her life is okay. And I'm good to go.
That's a great way to be.
You have one child.
I have one child, yeah. Originally, I wanted 5. I had 1. I quit.
Yeah.
So what does a day in the life today look like for Bobby Czyz?
Well, I'm on disability. I had a lot of problems with another car accident in 2007. I got double hip replacement I needed. I have herniated discs in my spine. I have degenerative disc disease in my back, arthritis in my back and my neck, bursitis in my shoulders, and my knee's torn. So when I walk, you can't tell when I'm walking. You can't tell when you're looking at me, but I can't go to war like I used to. But I still keep myself. I'm still within 5 pounds of my last fight weight, so I'm not heavy, not too heavy, and I'm all right.
Wow,
good. That's good. And what kind of business are you into now? Besides, or are you just on rehab?
Well, right now I'm on pension, disability pension, but I have been offered a couple of jobs to broadcast again, so I may be back in the broadcasting booth, which is a great place to be.
Yeah, we would love to see you there.
I was going to ask you were a great broadcaster with Showtime. Why did you stop doing that?
Well, I got fired for telling the truth. I got told to stop telling the truth, and I couldn't compromise my integrity. I didn't know any other way to talk to the people other than straight, and they used my DUI as a problem. I said, "Wait a minute, they said, "Well, this is too much." So wait, the first 3 DUIs, you didn't mind those 3, but the 4th one, that was the limit.
What truth? Was there a specific instance of something specific that you said, or
Yeah, they kept telling me to stop saying that there's an agenda. See, whenever you watch a fight, let's just say you watch a fight and fighter A is kicking the crap out of fighter B, and he does it for almost every round. And at the end of the fight, fighter B wins. There are only 2 logical explanations for the outcome of that. The judges were incompetent and stupid and don't know what they're doing, therefore they should never judge again. Or the fix was in for the fight by the promoter who pays the judges
for the next fight.
Oh.
And no, he keeps the guy without a loss and makes more money down the road. And then the network said to me, "Stop saying that. People keep asking us what's the agenda." I said, "The agenda is simple. The people that can't follow that, the fact that they have to ask you, well, you know as well as I do, some of this stuff isn't right. Yeah, but you can't say that on TV. Why? Then I look like an idiot. Then I look like the guy who's lying. Wow. I can't say that the guy who got beat up, yeah, he actually won the fight. No, he didn't. He got his ass kicked."
So they basically told you to stop suggesting that there's crooked shit going on.
Yes.
That's. I mean, I wonder if it would be that way in today's day. You probably could.
Yep. Yes, it will. It'll no matter. It'll never change.
You think so?
It's not. Yeah. It'll
never change. He's here. And I used to tell him, I said, to be real simple, follow the money. Think about this. You have a fighter. I'll tell you what. You watch the tape. His first fight, Floyd Mayweather Jr. First fight he had against, I can't remember the Spanish guy. He got beat.
Castillo.
He got beat 7 rounds to 5 clean.
Castillo.
Yep. Castillo got beat clean. 7 rounds to 5 clean. After the fight, it was a split decision. He won. That's when when an undefeated fighter wins a split decision, you know he lost.
Mm.
It just kept the legend alive because it makes money for the business. Now he beat him in the rematch, no problem, but he lost the first one.
Mm.
I was shocked that he lost the first one, but I think he just didn't train for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
50.
Go ahead,
So
Joey.
you got 52 professional fights.
Say again.
52 professional fights.
44 and 8. 44 wins, 8 losses.
How big was the amateur career?
20.
Minuscule. I was
26-2.
Yeah, 26-2, but 24 of those fights were junior Olympic fights.
Oh. Okay. And why is that? If you could explain to people who are going to be listening, why is that significant?
Well, it's significant because when you're junior Olympic, you're under 16. It's 10 and 11 fight each other. 10, 11, 12 and 13, and 14 and 15 fight each other. Once you're 16, you can go in the open AAU. You can fight in the Golden Gloves. You can fight in the grown-up tournament, so to speak. You're not a kid anymore. I won the state junior Olympics every time I fought in them. Fought in them twice. I fought in every time I fought in the regional titles. I won them, and I finished 3rd in the country. I got a bronze medal. I was trying. Not in the amateurs. I love the thrill of the competition. I really did. And when I was very young, I really thought that I had something special. All the pros would say to me, "You're different." And this is really funny because white people don't get it. But I have soul. I have soul. I tried to explain to a reporter once. He said, I don't understand this soul thing. Equate a white boy with soul. What is that? I don't understand it. So I tried like 10 examples. I couldn't get him to understand it. Then I got one last example. I said, if you don't get it with this example, then that's one of the reasons why you can't get it, because you're white.
You got,
So I said to him, here you go.
I told this to you the other day. You and my brother Eric are damn near freaking twins.
That's funny.
and we're Irish and black, and you and my brother look like bloody twins.
It's possible. It's possible. But when I was talking to this reporter, you'll get a full kick out of this. I finally gave him the example. I said, Larry Bird, one of the best basketball players of all time, picture perfect technician, great.
Mm-hmm. True.
I said, now Michael Jordan, you can't put a name on that. His body goes in two different directions at the same time, then comes back together behind you, and he dunks the ball. I said, that is soul. He said, okay. He said, now I think I get it.
Yeah, I mean,
it was just a different thing. Thing.
Yeah, it is. I think you do need to be a good fighter. For the most part, you do need a little soul, a little rhythm, a little, for the most part.
You have to have some rhythm. You know why? All the stand-up straight ahead guys, most of them have great chins because they're going to get hit because they're not moving, and they have to be phenomenal punchers, or they're not going to make it. And I just got lucky. I went to a gym where I learned under black and Hispanic teachers. The guy who was the trainer in the gym taught me how to jab. That's it. After that, I said, "Look, I got this." Because
that's the most important punch you got, the jab.
Right, but he didn't even show me. He didn't even show me how to do that right. I learned how to do the power jabs. You know, where you step into with your body behind you, or you do the quick jabs just for the points, just to get through, just to find the distance, that kind of stuff.
I was going to ask you, speaking of hard punchers, you fought some pretty hard punching guys, especially when you stepped up to heavyweight. Who was the hardest puncher that just really stood out that you've ever been in the ring with?
Okay, I didn't fight him, but I was in the ring with him many times. Ray Mercer.
Ooh, you sparred
Ray
him?
Mercer hit me with a right hand in the gym once. I spar with Ray all the time. Ray hit me with a right hand once. I weighed 195 at the time. He weighed about 235. He hit me with a right hand. He was right in front of me, and I couldn't find him. And I knew to get my ass. I knew to get myself get out of the way. Move, duck, bob, weave, give feet, get out of here. And I recovered quickly. That was the one. Excuse me. One thing about me, I recovered quickly.
I know exactly what you mean, bro. Ooh.
He was a scary dude.
Yeah.
We had.
I'll tell you what. One day I was out to dinner with Ray. Ray and a friend of mine. We were having dinner, and my friend said to Ray, he said, "Hey Ray, whoever hit you the hardest?" He said, "Ask your friend." I said, "It wasn't me, Ray." He said, "Yes, it was."
Really?
I hit Ray as I got a little bigger. I hit Ray with a couple of shots. I got him good. So we both worked with each other very well, though. He's a great guy.
He seems like he could do.
We had Hasim Rahman, who's an old friend of ours, on the podcast, and he had fought both Corey Sanders and Evander Holyfield, who you both fought, and he told us that Corey Sanders was the hardest puncher he's ever been in there with. Do you agree with that?
You know why? I do agree with that. I'll tell you why. There's a very, very subtle thing to Corey Sanders' power. He's 245 pounds,
big dude,
but he punches at the speed of a cruiserweight. He's fast. His jabs are fast. His left hands are fast because he's southpaw. But he hits you from some angles. I mean, at one point in time in the first round, he hit me so many times, I just took a knee because I couldn't get out of the way of him. I couldn't get out of his way. I just took a knee. I said, I got to rest. I got to rest this one off. And after the second round, they stopped it because I just wasn't responding well. I was 36. My body been through a lot. I said, all right, I'm calling it a day. I'm retired.
And what about against Evander? Because Hasim and a few other people, we talked to Chris Bird, we talked to a few people who fought Evander, kept bringing up the headbutting that he would do. One, was Evander strong? And two, did you see the headbutting moves with you as well?
All right, I got to put this in context for you. He wasn't that strong. He didn't hit that hard, but he did use his elbows and his head all the time. He always did. It's funny. Here's what I knew. I knew for a fact I had two things going for me, and by going for me, that Evander would underestimate me. I'm not a legitimate heavyweight, and I'm white. He's going to underestimate me for both things.
Yep.
He's going to not train for this fight. So I just got out. I got to outlast him the first 5 rounds, and then he's not gonna make it. He's not gonna make it to the finish line. I know this. So in the first round, he threw 98 punches. I'm sorry, he threw anyway, he threw more punches than he'd ever thrown as a heavyweight in his career in the first 2 rounds. But I was still standing there. He hit me one shot in the second round, and Larry Merchant even said it to me. He said, Evander Holyfield just hit Bobby Czyz with a great left hook, and Bobby Czyz said, nice shot. It wasn't that hard. He did not hit that hard.
No.
But at the same time, as he started to get after the second round, my eyes started to burn. I mean, burn.
Why?
Not like I got sweat in them. Well, my vision the day before the fight at the doctor's ophthalmologist, 2015, both eyes.
Oh shit!
2 days after the 45, 2050. I got glasses on.
Oh.
I would never wear glasses. I would 2015. I could read the menu from across the room. And matter of fact, I got a call the day after the fight from Bert Cooper. Bert Cooper said, as soon as I dropped him, he said, the next round, he said, my eyes burned so bad I couldn't see anything. So, you know what it is then. What is it? I found out 2 years later from the state troopers what it was.
What?
They said it was Tabasco sauce.
Tabasco sauce? You're kind of. We're losing.
That's what they said.
We're losing you, Bobby.
They're losing me. Okay.
All right.
How come?
I don't know. It's like
how's that?
Your video's frozen, but now your audio's coming back.
Well, your video's frozen several times on me. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But it has. Like yours is frozen right now.
Yeah, your audio's. Are you sitting where you've been sitting the whole time?
I've been sitting here the whole time. So it was the clearest place in the room.
Weird.
Yeah, a little bit.
Your video froze for me for a second.
Let's give it a second, see if it comes back. You there?
I'm there.
Okay. So you said Tabasco sauce?
That's what the police officer, the state trooper, told me. He said that he had heard, a New Jersey state trooper, he said he heard from some people in the New York Police Department that when the gloves got, because they were supposed to take the gloves immediately, right? And put them in plastic bags and have them tested. Now, they lost the gloves for 2 days, which pissed me off. Then they found them, then they tested them, and they said it was inconclusive. Now, think about this. There's either sweat on those gloves or there's a chemical on those gloves. There's no such thing as inconclusive under those circumstances.
Yeah.
But that's where the money was. Money was with Evander, not with me.
So let me get this straight. Evander would put Tabasco sauce on his gloves and
no, his trainer did.
His trainer, but Evander must have known.
Sure he did.
And
he won't admit to it.
And he did this with Cooper as well.
Hold on. Well, hold on. How do you not, as a fighter? Listen. How do you, as a fighter, have gloves on and don't touch your own face?
Good point.
Well, you touch your face by, but he don't touch it that much, especially with a guy that size of me. He didn't touch him that much, and even if he touched him, he touched his cheeks. That's no big deal. Touch his chin, his lips, your nose, no big deal. In your eyes, your cornea, that's a big deal.
Well, once your pores open, it doesn't make a difference. What do you touch? It's all over there.
No, that's not true. Not true. It's that the specific substance is isolated to an area. You can't. It doesn't. It's not equatable with it being moving to all the different areas. It only infects the area it's landing on. It don't. If you don't hit somebody, if you don't stick fingers in your own eye, you're not going to get, your eyes are not going to get a problem.
Wow. If that's true. I mean, I know your eyes are burning, so your eyes definitely burnt. We're not going to, right? There's no argument there. But if that's true, that's really, I mean, Jesus, headbutting.
Well, watch this. The very next fight he had was against Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson saw how bad he looked against me. Mike Tyson didn't train for the first fight either. So he didn't train real hard. He coasted a little, and then look what it cost him.
Wow.
And the second fight was its own nasty thing.
Yeah, that was crazy. So did you commentate? Did you commentate any of those big fights? I don't really remember the commentating career that well.
I did both Tyson Holyfield fights.
You were, wow. I
did both of them. Yeah, I did both of them.
So you did
I did Showtime for 10 years from from 1992 to 2003. 10 years and 4 months.
Let me ask.
So hold on. Sitting ringside to Holyfield and Tyson, how did that sound?
How did what sound?
How did Tyson and Holyfield sitting ringside to that? How did it sound? What do those punches sound like? What does that energy?
Well, you could hear the thuds up close because we're sitting like literally. We could put our hands on the ring.
I know where you're sitting.
Yeah, it's you get a different perspective than watching it through the TV. You can't call a fight or watch a fight on TV sometimes in close fights and be perfectly accurate. There's inside fighting that you can't see that well from the outside. Depends on your angle too. Sometimes you have a fighter who's back to him, who's scoring inside. It's difficult, but at the same time, it's awesome. I love being ringside.
Yeah, but you being a fighter and an ex-world champion, watching that at ringside is a completely different experience than somebody in the second row or third row that have never fought.
Yeah,
and
that's true. And I can actually see and sometimes sense when a fighter's starting to get tired or starting to lag, or maybe got hurt and is trying to hide it. Look, sometimes you'll see a guy take a body shot and you go, all right, he shook it off. He didn't shake it off. He didn't shake it off, and it shows up later.
Yeah, Jeremy and I talk about this a lot. I fought before Jeremy, obviously. We feel like it's a real disgrace that the majority of announcers, commentators, never fought at all. And
well, how can you call like Larry Merchant? How can you call him an expert analyst when he never got hit in the face once?
I hate that motherfucker.
How can you do that?
I agree. I totally.
You can't do it. You can't do it. Look, I respect the fact that they have pretty interesting and good opinions. Some of their opinions are pretty well researched, but he can't understand what it's like to get hit in the solar plexus and all the air leaves your body and you can't move, but you got to move because you got to get out of the way or you're going to get bulldozed over. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things. You can get hit in the eye, you get hit under the rib cage, you get 1,000 different things go wrong. And I remember there's a fight.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, like, those mother effers don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
But that's why they don't know how to. That's why they don't know how to react to it. They come up with something stupid.
What
they don't know how to react to it.
Besides the Tyson Holyfield fight, which is probably the most the one that stands out the most, what other fight as a commentator stands out? What other maybe legendary fights did you do that you could think of that stand out to you commentating?
Well, I did a lot of Julio Cesar Chavez's fights. What's his name? The body snatcher Mike McCallum did one of his.
Ooh, shit.
Nigel Benn overseas. Yeah, I mean there was a lot of guys, and it's Tony Tucker was fighting for Don King back then. Don King had a lot of heavyweights, so these guys. Oliver McCall was also a friend of mine. Winning the world title, and I got to see these guys and call them. And I was friends with a lot of them, and other guys I knew them. I just knew them.
Did you ever have somebody ask you to call the fight a little different so that people could see something different?
No. Nobody ever.
You know what I'm talking about.
Say again.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know. No one. I never called a fight. Here's the thing. That makes me look like an idiot. If something's happening and I'm calling something else, a matter of fact, you'll laugh at this. I called him out on it because I used to announce with him. Ferdy Pacheco one time was talking about a certain fight. I forget who it was now. And the fighter, he kept saying he's coming on, and he was getting his ass kicked. And he lost the fight by a runaway unanimous decision. And Ferdy said, I wonder what I don't know what I was looking at. So I called him out on it. I said, what were you looking at? He said, well, look, he said, the other guy was actually a better fighter. I just thought he was going to come from behind and win. So I just kind of wished that. So I said, no, you can't say something you're wishing for to the people. You got to tell them what they're seeing. Makes you look stupid.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I just thought that was insane.
Well, I say that because so many times nowadays in boxing that the I'm gonna call them hosts or the announcers, but they're guiding what you see.
I know exactly exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Hey, how about this? You'll appreciate this. I had a guy when I was fighting in Total in Ice World early in my career. he was blind. And he used to send me letters, and he used to say, you're the best blind boxing fan. So I wrote him back a letter. Eventually I got his number, and I said, how can you watch a fight if you're blind? How do you judge a fight if you're blind? He said, well, I listen to the announcers. I said, what if the announcer's an idiot? And one day he called me up after one of my fights in Ice World, and he said, you had a rough night, huh? I said, what are you talking about? Well, so-and-so said you didn't look that good. I said, so-and-so's an idiot who was an announcer, but he was wrong. I didn't knock out a guy everybody expected me to knock out in 3 rounds. I knocked him out in 5.
Right.
So all of a sudden,
now that's a problem.
Well, but that's what announcers do. They influence people.
They do.
The power of the mic.
Yes.
Did and I'm not asking for numbers, obviously, but I was always curious. Did they pay decently for commentating, or did they not?
Yeah, I was paid well.
Good. You deserve it, you know. And I feel like it should be tiered pay. People like you should get way more because of your background. You know, they don't do that.
Well, I was well paid. I got 5 figures a fight.
Great.
Yeah, I got 5 figures a fight. It was a good career.
So I'd asked you before your most gratifying victory. So I'm curious, what was your most disappointing fight?
My most disappointing fight, probably my first loss to Prince Charles Williams. Losing my title was a blow to my ego, and it was a blow to my just to my hard work ethic and everything I did. I just lost it.
Charles, I remember him.
Yeah, he could fight. He beat me twice. Only guy to beat me twice. Yeah.
You know, and that's my father's name. So it's like that's why I would watch him. Like, Dad, look, you're fighting.
Wow, I mean, it was really appreciate talking to you, man. We appreciate it. You're such an interesting dude. We'd definitely like to have you back.
You got it. Listen, my man's he's got my number already. No problem. You call me up. We'll make it work.
Well, appreciate it, man. Thank you. And you are a wealth of knowledge, and thank you for your experience. And thank you for your championships and all the fights, and for looking like my older brother.
And if you're ever back,
Marco and Jeremy, you guys have a great time. You have a great night.
Thank you, man. Take care.
Take care, bro.
Cheers.